Follow the channel markers of Pelahatchie Bay southeast from the causeway and you will find, past the last marker, a narrow tree-lined channel leading into one of the major tributaries of the reservoir, Pelahatchie Creek. The actual line defining the bay from the creek is a bit fuzzy. Most maps show the divider as the old Mississippi Highway 471 bridge right next to Pelahatchie Bay Trading Post. Some boaters consider anything east of the last channel marker as the creek. Still, some old-timers and experienced bass fishermen might stop their craft in the middle of the big water itself and claim to be fishing in the old creek channel. And they'd probably be right. Fact is, before the reservoir was flooded, Pelahatchie Creek was your typical country creek, meandering through farmland and hardwood forests. The channel remains there still, but submerged. It follows the markers west through the bay, across the causeway near Pelahatchie Park, and into the reservoir, where it hangs a left turn, skirting the existing shore, and, before the spillway was built, entered into the Pearl River, just below the existing dam. The landscape surrounding the creek has changed significantly since the reservoir was made because the creek flooded along with it. Parts of the creek feature steep banks of towering hardwoods and intruding cypress knees, but along the way you'll also find grassy marshes and shallow pools filled with stumps and lily pads. Once past the old Mississippi Highway 471 bridge, a motorboater needs to know what he's doing to avoid these submerged obstacles. That's not to say a big bass boat or even a pontoon boat can't navigate the creek channel above the bridge. I've seen many pass me by, but I've also seen my fair share of the same vessels stalled and teetering on a submerged stump. The best bet is a small john boat, or in my case a kayak, which allows an angler access into the many cuts and pools and feeder creeks along the way as you hug the water hazards of the Bay Point Country Club. From pure appearance alone, it would seem hard not to catch a fish here. Around every turn, an angler will find a plethora of spots that just look plain fishy. But many of those same anglers will tell you, I for one, that fishing the creek can be frustrating, and many days have ended with just a few throwback catfish, a suntan, and some lost tackle to brag about. But as with any fishing hole, if you can find where the fish are hiding, you can expect a full stringer as your reward. If it's bass you're after, one of the best strategies is to get as far back into the creek as your craft and your time will allow, and fish slowly back towards the old 471 bridge along the banks, casting as close to the shore as possible with a deep diving crankbait or spinner or even a jig, and retrieving your line back towards the channel. The channel here can get very deep, even close to shore, and it seems as though that bass like to hide in the shady areas below overhanging trees. Oftentimes they'll strike just a few feet from the bank as your bait begins its descent into the channel. For crappie and brim, I like to spot fish with minnows or sometimes crickets, testing each spot with a few casts and then moving on until I find out where they're hiding. I've seen them bite everywhere, from the middle of the channel to the most shallow pool, but rarely in both places on the same day. But once you find that spot, hunker down and protect it with your life. The narrowness of the creek makes good fishing holes a premium, and other anglers are not shy about edging in on your area if they see you catching fish there.